What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonia Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Great.
What's up?
Do I sound?
What's up, morning face?
I'm tired. Miguel's running me to no
I'm not.
end.
Hey, no, you did this to yourself.
What?
You did this to yourself.
Just because I wanted to have some fun. Does my hair look like I had fun last night?
What's that song? Work hard, play hard. Yeah.
Does my hair look like I had fun
Now's
last night?
the work part. Last night was the play part.
We had a good
Right?
time. So my niece, she just turned 28. And happy birthday, Nikki. And we haven't been out in a long time, like together. And I haven't been out in a long time together. And I was going to take her to a float tank, but that didn't fall through. So we decided, let's go have some drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to this place near Westgate and ordered some fish bowls and started with that.
You guys started with fish bowls?
Yes.
How many fish bowls did you have?
We had one fish bowl each.
Oh, man.
It was cool, though, because we were on the side of town that we lived in. So
Yeah.
I ran into, a couple of people. So
That's
it was
awesome.
really cool.
That's good.
It was fun. Good music.
Yeah.
There was,
You've been wanting to go dancing forever.
I know, but I didn't. If I would have stayed later, I would have, but I had to be here to record this podcast. No.
Whatever.
There was no dancing. It was just like a bar/restaurant.
Oh,
because
okay.
it's early. But then right when we left, they started moving the tables back. And I was like, I gotta go home. No.
Right when the party starts, you got to walk out.
Yes. And we live 45 minutes away from where we were at. So I had to make sure that I was sober enough to drive home.
Yeah.
But I did send you a text. Yeah, I was, because I had the one, it was a watermelon wobble. That's what it was called, by the way. And it was served in a little watermelon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I figured if you were out last night and you called me, or I knew you were going to call me or text me on your way home or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I was just going to tell you, like, if you called me and you were all messed up, like, just stay there.
But would I do that?
Stay there and then,
Do you know that? Like, I've never done that. Like, when I'm by myself, I'm saying I've done it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you bring me home. Yep.
No, but anyways, I'm saying, like, if you can't drive, I'm like, stay home and then we'll figure out recording
the next day. Stay with Nikki. Yes.
Stay with Nikki and because tomorrow's a holiday anyway. Happy Labor Day for those of you that work.
Woo! For those of you. My nephew put up a post.
Not your nephew, your cousin.
No, honey. My nephew put up a post that said, why is it bad? He's like, why is it bad to drink a little, smoke a little, and have fun?
Yeah.
And I put on there, I'm like, it's not, as long as you're responsible enough.
Yeah.
And I told him the way you know if you're doing it right is by the fruit that you're bearing. Like your marriage, your children, like if your life is going good, then obviously it's okay to drink a little, play a little.
Yeah, but if that stuff's getting you in trouble, or if you're not progressing because of it,
and I've always been that way, even from back in the day when I was on my own. I always did that. I was always responsible, though there were a couple times I think that I could have been pulled over just as easy.
I think that's everybody,
and gotten a DUI. You know, because it's like one drink is too much already.
Yeah.
But I've always played responsible, and I think that's where people get messed up, because not everyone.
I had to learn that. I had to learn it the hard way.
Oh yeah, so share with me some of your.
Well, with the military, I used to party hard.
Yes.
And but even the work part, like I would always make sure that I was at work the next day, but not so much like the work part, but the stuff that's attached to the military, because it's not just a job. It's not just about showing up to work the next day. It's like if you get in trouble and you're in the military, well,
you're representing the military.
So you get in more trouble. So that's where I got in trouble, was from getting in trouble and partying and that kind of thing. But not so much not showing up to work and doing my job.
Yes.
But it's all part of it.
Yes.
It's all part of it. It was causing a problem.
And with you and I think that's because you have an old soul.
Yeah. You tell me that all the time.
You do, because there's no way you and I would be together if you didn't.
Yeah.
You know, like you got a lot of your partying out of the way and craziness out of the way.
I did. When I was young.
Yes. Before you and I met.
Yeah.
So you can handle a woman like me.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I have morning voice.
Right. You do have morning voice.
But
so anyway,
is that sexy or no?
Yeah, sounds good.
I can make it.
Sounds good.
So it was cool because after the fact, like after
is there sexy
we went,
music? I need to
no,
find
you
it.
don't.
No.
There's no. And then afterwards, we went back to my niece's house and we started because my sister had wrote a letter, and I wanted that letter. And
This is
we
your
started.
sister that passed away?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to read the letter, and we were going through a box of stuff, and she found pictures of me, back in the day, and my sister. There's not many pictures of my sister because she didn't like to take pictures, but we found a couple, and dude, there was some of her work.
Like
her
schoolwork?
homework
Yeah.
from college, and she was so smart, like she really rocked it. And we both forgot that she was a substitute teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she was going to school to be a teacher, and she
wow.
had graduated on the dean's list. We came across her resume.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We came across her resume, and Nikki was like, I forgot that she was a substitute teacher.
That's cool.
And Nikki came across a handprint of hers when she was in kindergarten, and pictures of the boys when they were 2 and 4.
That's cool.
And my sister, to see my sister's handwriting, she had beautiful handwriting. She always had beautiful handwriting. And there was this thing she did with her D that if you were to see her, or like her name wasn't on the letter or homework, you knew that was her because of the way she did her D. It was so pretty and so elegant, Yeah. And
my mind automatically goes to like those forensic scientists that like they match up people's writing when they're trying to like, did this person write this?
Dude, they would not. Right, they would not be able to detect mine.
They'd be like, "That's Diane's D,"
because my handwriting is different.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah, yours is
And so, even back then, it's different from today, and it depends on how I feel when I
look like
writing.
I write with my feet. My shit's all fucked up.
But I came across our marriage invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and. While I'm reading the invitation, this is how big my ego was back then, you guys. The marriage celebration uniting Sonia Marie Sapien and Miguel Angel Ramirez. My name is, I'm like, why did I put my name first? Yeah. Right? Isn't it normally the men's name?
I guess,
first,
Whatever.
But I read that and I'm like, okay,
is that your
I
thing?
can see.
You like put my name first.
I can see myself doing something like that. But it was really cool to come across that. And she found it and she's like, do you know what this is? She's like, this is your marriage invitation. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And the picture that we first took right in the back.
That's one of the original pictures.
Yes. Yep. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. That was so me. That was the best quote.
Best quote ever.
Right. Because it's exactly, what it is.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you guys got to go and hang out and have a good time.
Yeah.
And spend some time together.
Yes.
Because I know, and you also got to visit your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And
I went to visit my brother, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Because it was my other goddaughter's birthday. So I went to go see them for a little bit. So I was everywhere because I was in Phoenix and Nikki wasn't home yet. So
that's nice. And I know you always talk about wanting to go see the family more and going to visit. So while you were out, well, actually last week, the kids got their progress reports, their first progress reports from school. So they've been in school for a couple of weeks now, and they got their first progress reports. And man, Audrey, this is the first time that Audrey has like really put it together.
Yes.
It's awesome. Like, it's great. I was talking to her yesterday because you were out with the family, and I was just asking her, like, what was it? You know, and she was just like, I don't know. Like, she just kind of decided to start getting in order. Like, she wakes up early and starts doing her work. And she's just like, I think she's realizing that if she stays on top of it, she's going to do well. She's going to do really well. And she got all A's and 1 B, right?
Which was in Spanish. Her B was in Spanish?
Was it? No, B was in science. B was in science.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
But everything else, she got all A's and 1 B.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's huge.
That's awesome.
It is. And I asked her, I'm like, how does it feel?
Yeah.
She's like, it feels good.
That's what I knew. Like, I knew that if they put the effort in and they got the results, that it would feel good. Like, they would feel like they did something. And that would motivate them to keep doing it, you know?
Yes.
But it's just getting that first one. So with Joe, and we can talk about Joe. Like, Joe still, he needs some help.
Well, there's a conversation I had with both of them during that time.
Yeah. What happened?
And, you know, Audrey's talking to me about her report card or her grades. And Joey's sitting there, and I was doing work with Joey. And I'm like, listen, Joey. I'm like, Adriana was the same way. She did not like doing her homework. It was always a fight, right? Like, it was just always
frustration.
Not a great experience.
Very similar. Very similar.
But you know what? It's not just our family. When you speak to other families, when they have little ones around Joey's age and under, so 10 and under, they go through the same challenge.
Yeah.
But you don't know that because we don't talk about it. But when you start talking about it, it almost gives you a relief. Like, okay, so we're not messing up. Like, okay, our kid is not, you know.
This is, I don't know. I have a hard time with it sometimes. Like, when you really think about it, we were talking about it the other night, and I've mentioned it on here before. When you really look at it, like, they're just passing kids from grade to grade.
Yes.
In this country.
Yes.
All they do, like, regardless
no
of
kid left behind.
Whether your kid is where he's
doing
supposed
well
to be
or not,
where she's supposed to be, they will put them in a program and then just move them up to the next grade. And then the next grade, they put them in another program and move them up to the next grade. And so it's not really about teaching the kids. Like, as far as the system goes, the teachers, they probably join. And just like every profession, there's great teachers. There's not so great teachers. It's the same everywhere. Doctors, it's all the same.
Yes. In every industry, there's yes.
But when you like we were talking about, there are very few jobs or careers or whatever that you're going to need more than just your basics. Reading, writing, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And I think the benefits of maybe like basic algebra, just by the logic of it and putting things together and what goes first, what goes after, that kind of thing helps, train your brain, I guess, or whatever, right? Besides that, I have never used history once in my life. Like, science, I like science. I mean, I talk about it all the time. Yeah. Like, science and history. I love history too now. But I failed every single class, every semester, every time. Like, none of that shit actually mattered. Sports and maybe getting in shape, or they weren't teaching anything in fucking PE or health, like what to eat. They were teaching us a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So reading, writing, and math. The science, you have to know how to read and write. The science, you'll start getting curious about it and start learning things. History, the same thing.
Right.
But that's all you really need. So when we go to Joey and to Audrey back, before, and giving them such a hard time and putting all this fucking stress and all this shit, and it's like, look, at the end of the day, if you know how to read and not just barely know. Like, you need to know, like, you need to be literate. Like, you read, write, multiply, divide, add, like all that stuff. And if you know that well, then you'll be all right. Once you start getting curious, you'll figure it out. You know, the one thing that they do need is that curiosity and the effort, the motor, which is something we are still working on. Right. Yes. Because as far as all the other shit, I really don't care. If you have the motor, you'll be fine.
See, and that's the thing, is like finding out what motivates them, you know, and I think that's what it is. And when I recognized our kids are money motivated, you know, and I'm having this talk, you know, with the kids and letting Joey know, listen, it's okay. I told him, I'm like, listen, you were so kind to other people. Because I trained them to be kind to other people, right? My babies are going to love your babies. I don't know if you saw that post, but my babies, I promise my babies are going to love your babies. Yeah. But, you know, Joey, I'm like, you have to be kind to yourself.
Unless I tell him to choke him.
Stop. I'm like, you have to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with being bad before you're good.
Joey beats himself up.
Have to constantly be telling him this.
Yeah.
And sharing stories with him about my struggle back then and my struggle today. Like, we all have things that we need to work on. We all have things that we suck at. I'm like, your dad, and I start giving him examples of what you're good at. And what a lot of things that you're good at, I'm not. And things that I'm good at, you're not. You know, people are good in different, and like your sister, she loves math. She's good at math. I'm like, you're good at math. He's getting better at math, right? Like he's it's starting to click for him.
I think he has a B in math.
Yeah. Yes. It's starting to click for him.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man, even with Audrey, it was so frustrating. I mean, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Last week, we were talking about a hard situation that we went through that was just like mind-melting, mind-numbing.
Oh,
this is one of those things. Like, teaching kids, like, fucking homework is something that will melt your brain as a fucking parent. Like,
unless
I'm dead
they
serious.
Enjoy and they love and they're good teachers and they understand
unless you figure,
how they're teaching the kids today.
And like you said, that's one thing that, I mean, we've made shit tons of mistakes when it comes to teaching kids, and we're not teachers, you know? But I think one thing that has helped, like you were saying, is sharing our mistakes. And with Joe, it's just like, hey, it's homework. It's important. You need to do it, but it's not the end of the world. It's a piece of paper. Let's just get it done. Like, you don't take a deep breath. Like, that's what, I try to tell him, like, just relax. When I see that he's getting upset, and I got to make sure that I don't get upset, that I'm not getting frustrated.
That's the key.
Because if I start getting frustrated, it's all going down the rails.
You're screaming, he's crying, it's a shit show.
Yeah. But it's trying to keep him calm, have him take a breath, let him know, like, hey, it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. Let's just get it done so you can go play. Yeah. You know?
But sometimes, and this is what I've noticed, is that when I'm working with him, and think about it, adults, when we are going through a situation, when we are stressed, when we are feeling, you know, anxiety, a lot of times it's tough for us to just calm down. You know, if I'm feeling a certain way and you come to me and you're like, I do this to you and you fucking hate it. When you're in the car and somebody cuts you off. Why do you let it get you so mad? I'm like, babe,
why do you let it get you so angry?
I'm like, it's not even that serious. And what does it do to you?
Like, why don't you just leave me alone?
Exactly.
This has nothing to do with you.
Exactly.
And now
he's more pissed.
Now I focus my attention on you instead of the person that freaking cut me off.
But it's not that way anymore. No. Because Miguel's been working on himself.
Oosa.
Oosa, yes.
What were you about to say? Oosie.
Yeah. Oosa. You know, but that's the thing, because I've helped you to recognize, and Joey's helped you to recognize, you know, the things that you need to work on. Our job is to help our children to recognize what's going on within them, because when Joey gets frustrated, his brain shuts off. Just like a lot of us adults, we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to hear it. We are done. But as children, they can't be done because they have an adult looking over them, whether you're yelling at them, whatever it is, and they're just, they're done. So with him, I'm like, baby, let's step away for a minute.
Yes,
like, I'll let him.
That's good.
Step away for a minute. Yeah. Get yourself together. I'm good. You're good. Just go do something for a bit and then we'll come back.
Yeah. And like, he has times where he'll get like, he gets so frustrated and he'll start crying.
Yes.
And it's like, all right, get up, take a deep breath, step away from the work for a little bit. Like, we have to get this done.
Yes.
So we're not going to stop until we're finished, but get up, go wash your face, take a deep breath, and we'll come back in 3 minutes or 5 minutes and go do something else.
And parents, seriously, you have to validate their emotions. Like, just because it's not a big, and this is in every aspect, because their little, what may be little to us may be huge for them. You know, whether they just fell outside, hurt themselves, or got into a confrontation with a friend, homework, whatever it is. Even though they're little adults, you have to validate what they're feeling and don't brush it off. You know, I see some parents, and we were those parents at the beginning, when the kids would cry and would be like, stop crying. Why are you crying? You don't even have a reason to be crying. Yeah. Stop crying right now.
I was just writing that down because I want to look that up. I want to look up what that does. Because that, like you said, that happened. That used to happen to me.
Me too.
I mean, it's like, as soon as you get done getting your ass whooped, it's like, be quiet, shut up. I don't want to hear you. And
your feelings are hurt. Your ass is hurt.
And now,
you know.
But I remember being a kid and being a parent now. Like, you understand, like, to be quiet. Like, you're frustrated. You don't like. But that they're just a kid,
right?
You know, and I want to know what is that like when they're trying to express that emotion, or like if it has an effect. Yes. I don't know. I'll find out. But another thing that I thought of for the podcast that I just wrote down is that maybe we can look up like some tips for teaching at home, because how many people, like, school isn't the way it used to be anymore.
No.
Like, this shit's all different now. Now there's a lot more homeschool stuff. The kids are bringing home laptops and the Chromebooks and all that shit. And some kids aren't even going back to school. Yes. I mean, who knows what the hell's going to happen now?
Right.
You know, so maybe some tips to like help, you know, when we're teaching the kids at home. Like you said, I think the break, that's a good one. And just kind of, you know, having them take a deep breath and just kind of refocus. And
there's a book that Miguel and I have, and maybe I shouldn't even talk about this yet because I know that you haven't been listening to it, but it's called The Drama of the Gifted Child. And you guys, I suggest every parent read that book. You know, we'll start talking about it on the next episode, but read that book, especially if you have an infant or a newborn or maybe even a toddler. I mean, it's good for everybody, because that book also it talks about how the things that we go through growing up that we may not understand how they affect us, and how they affect
the people around us, and the people that we're interacting with,
right?
Our kids, our family, stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
No, it's a rough book. I remember listening to the beat. I got to get back on that.
But it's very eye-opening too. Yeah. And being a parent, you recognize some of the things that you do that were learned that were not good things. You know what I'm saying? They turned out, like, they talk about that.
Is the stop crying? Is that one of them?
Yes. Maybe? Yeah. Just validating their emotions and, you know, what they're going through, and try to empathize and get on their level and just, you know, be soft to listen.
Yeah. We're going to give all the parenting tips in one podcast. So, and we were talking about Audrey doing well, right?
Yes.
So that is something that we've been like, it's like it finally,
it's a big deal.
It finally happened, right? And now it's like such a relief that like it's almost
money motivated.
Yes, and it's almost like now. I mean, we can't leave it, but it's almost like an autopilot. like we know that when Audrey gets home from school, she'll be doing her homework a little bit, or in the morning she wakes up early, she starts doing homework. We don't have to tell her to do homework.
No.
Yeah, we don't have to tell her anymore. She just kind of does it on her own.
Yes.
If she, like the first week, she was missing a couple assignments, but it's only because she didn't turn them in correctly. After that, she's been good.
Yeah.
You know? And like I said, we've been wanting this.
Right.
And now we're like, so what are we going to do?
Yes.
Because now it's time, like we have to reward her. We have to make sure that she knows that we're proud of her, that she did well. You know, so I mean, we've been praising her like ever since she got the report card. We're like, we're super proud of you and we're so happy. And yesterday, while you were out with your family, I decided that we were talking about school and her locker, and they don't have a regular locker, but they have a gym locker. And I know that, I don't know, at least I was thinking in my head, for like a little girl and for her, like that's her little personal locker. That's her space, right?
Yes.
And I figured that it'd be nice. Like she brought it up to me. She said that there was a girl that had these little hooks on the inside of her locker that she hangs her jewelry when she gets changed for PE. So she didn't say anything, but I was like, you know what? Maybe she'll like to go and pick up a couple things. I mean, how much is it going to cost? $10 to like get a couple things for her locker, like some little hooks and a mirror and things like that. So we ended up going to Walmart and Michael's and picked up a little mirror and some hooks and, some other things.
That's cool.
For her locker. She was excited.
On Amazon, they have these really cool little sticker hooks.
Yeah.
For lockers or mirrors that you can put onto the locker where they could put their bracelets and necklaces. That's so cool though. When you told me that, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
So
and
good.
And we went out for breakfast so Joey had a sleepover. So he was out with his friend, and you had went out with your family. So Audrey and I went out for breakfast in the morning and just kind of hung out, her and I. And that's when we were talking, and then we went to Walmart and to Michael's and picked up that stuff. And then we decided, or I surprised her with going for a drive.
Was that a good surprise?
Yeah, she was excited.
Yeah?
So she drove for the first time. She's 12. So we went to this empty parking lot. Like, well, not completely empty, but empty enough. Like there's like a section of the parking lot there's no cars. And we can drive around the back of the shopping center where nobody goes and all that. So we went over there and she did really well. She was excited, and we video called you while she was driving.
It was so cute. She's just so big. I'm gonna make myself cry right now. She's just so big. Like, you don't realize how fast these kids grow up. It's like you're playing dolls with her 1 minute, then the next minute you're teaching her how to drive, and those moments are so precious. And it's like, with the way things are, us parents, we're so busy just working to pay the bills that we miss out on these beautiful moments. And it's so important, to have those days where you take out one child, right?
Yeah.
You take out one child, because what did you learn about her? Like, what did you see? What did you, what was there anything new that you learned about her? Was there any conversation that you guys had yesterday or anything
not really.
like that?
I'm just kidding. No, her and her friends. I was asking her about her relationships with her friends in school, and just like the differences between elementary school and junior, because she's been in junior high for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
So we were talking about like the differences and what she likes better about, junior high compared to what,
yes,
elementary school and all that.
Those conversations need to happen more often.
Yeah.
Because she's going to start having boy problems. And I think she is going to come to me, but you're the boy, you're the man.
Where there a lot of times where we'll have talks in the car. I think a lot of people like they zone out. I don't know if that's a normal thing. Music and the phones. Like if you're not driving, or even if you are driving, the phone, right? People are freaking looking at their phone while they're driving.
Right.
If you're in the passenger seat, you're looking at it. You're playing Nintendo in the back. So that's usually like every once in a while when we're driving to jujitsu, like I'll tell her, hey, turn it off. Like we're gonna talk on the way there.
Yes, because what I've noticed too, like when I get into cars with my friends and they have children Audrey's age, and even Audrey for that matter, they will take their little wireless headphones and stick them in their ear, and all of a sudden you're trying to have a conversation with them and they can't hear you. So I'm like, when she's in the car with me, I'm like, hey, let's if you want to listen to music, I could put music on. I said, but no headphones. Like, I do not, I don't like that. I want her to be there with me if we're going to church, because a lot of times our Sundays we all go to church. You haven't went the last two times, but yes, weeks, but it's the conversations that we have in the car. You're right. Like a lot of those, yes. But you're right. A lot of people zone out. They play music, and they're just like focused on where they're going. But those conversations that you have now will get her comfortable enough to, when she's having boy problems, like I'm going to just tell her, she comes to me and she starts talking to me about it, I'm going to give her my advice, but I'm going to tell her, you know what? I think you should go talk to daddy about that, because daddy's a boy and daddy's probably done those things to some girls. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying? You can kind of give her the other side of it.
It's gonna be 7 words. When she gets to high school, I'll be like, he's trying to get in your pants. He's trying to get in your pants. That's all I'm gonna be saying.
Oh my gosh.
Fucking horrible.
But she's cute. She told me, she's like, Mom, this is a podcast about all kids, which is good. It's gonna be a parenting podcast. She's like, Mom, she's like, when I look at boys, she's like, I don't look at the outside. She's like, I want to know the inside. And I'm like, that's my girl.
Yeah.
I got lucky because, you look nice on the outside and you're good in the inside. Aww. I got me a Twinkie. Hey. No.
What? A Twinkie? No. What the hell? Oh, man.
They're sweet all the way around, man. You take the bite, and once you bite into that Twinkie,
all right, baby,
it starts to soften.
But yeah, so we had a great time. It was fun.
That's good. That's good. I was glad, that you guys took that time. I think you guys should have more of those.
We should, and we've done that with Joey.
I love having my little time with Joey when it's just him and I.
Yeah,
I love connecting with that little
kid
boy.
Probably doesn't stop talking.
Yeah, he's so into his feelings, like his emotions. Like, he is the sweetest kid ever. He is so thoughtful.
Yeah. He's
such a thoughtful kid. If there is one cookie left in the cookie jar, he's going to ask, does anybody else want this cookie?
He does.
That's his personality. That's who he is. And, he tends to, if I'm sleeping in the room and he wakes up, he's like you. He's a lot like you.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I also volunteered on Saturday, and it's early because I have to be there at 8:00. So that means I have to be up at 6:30 here because it takes me almost an hour to get there. So, and it's my Saturday mornings, and, so it's early, and I got up, and I wasn't expecting you to get up, because you wake up early every day, Monday through Friday. So I wasn't expecting you to get up. And so when you walked in the room when I was getting ready, and I'm like, what are you doing awake? And you didn't want to say it, but you had made coffee and you brought me coffee up. Like, you didn't have to do that. That was so sweet.
Well, I knew you were going to be out most of the day. So I wanted to.
I was talking to Nikki about this, and I thought to myself, would you have done the same? Like, I'm asking myself. No, because you help me, because I think girls naturally are a bit selfish. Naturally, I feel that girls are a bit more selfish than boys.
Or is it a personality type?
Maybe. I don't know. But when I talk to other little girls, or I'm around girls or women.
You talk to a lot of little girls about this stuff?
No, well, like when Audrey's little friends are around and I'm in their conversations because I'm a cool parent.
I see what you're like. Because when you talk to Joe, he's.
Yes, like his, Evan is very
thoughtful.
So I'm just saying, being around the kids' friends, I see that in the girls. Like they're just a little bit more. It's about me. I'm so cute. It's me. Kind of look at me, you know? Yeah. And girls take more selfies than guys. I don't know if it's because guys it may seem a little
that's starting to
off,
change.
You know,
that's starting to change.
But you know, it is when I recognize that and I'm talking to Audrey and I'm bringing it to her attention. Anyways, I was talking to Nikki about our relationship and how, you know, like how I love you and how I appreciate you, and talking to her about the differences and how we got to where we are today. But we had to go through a lot of shit in order to appreciate each other today, like really appreciate each other. And I told her it wasn't always that way. I said, your Theo, matter of fact, is helping me to become more selfless. And I shared with her what you did. And I asked myself, would you have done the same thing? Would I got up early on a Saturday? You had to work. I don't think I would have. I mean, when you wake up in the morning for work, like, you know, before, like I would wake up early and make sure your coffee, but it's not working
always
from home.
I mean, you can't, it's not like it's always. I don't always get up. I do sometimes, but that was yesterday. There's also been times when I'm sleeping and you give me a kiss and walk out.
That's true.
You know, so it's not always. So you can't give yourself a hard time.
No, I know, but you are very thoughtful and you have helped me become
I mean, I try to be
selfless.
You know, like if I see you carrying stuff out, I try to grab something out of your hand and put it in the car. But you have like when I would go to work really early before in the old house, and I would have to leave super early. Like I would have to leave almost at 4 a.m. to be at work at 5, and you would be up and like packing my lunch while I'm getting ready and, you know, giving me a kiss on the way out.
Yeah.
You know, actually, you know what? Something that we talked about yesterday with Audrey, and I thought it was both of them, but I think it was started by Joey. In the old house, this was like one of the sweetest things ever, is when I used to leave to work early in the morning and I would open the garage door. It was like super early, dark as shit outside. And,
I remember.
And all of a sudden, the garage door, like I would be getting in my car and the garage door would fly open and Joey would be sitting there rubbing his eyes and crying.
I remember.
He would be just crying at the door. He's like, kiss. And I would have to get out of my car and go back and give him a kiss. And then little by little, Audrey would start doing it too. And then they would both be they'd both be crying, kiss at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd go and give him a hug and a kiss. And then they would go back to bed. And
it's funny because when when you're parents, you always question whether you're doing the right thing. You know, are we raising these kids the right way? You know, and we do look for information because where I come from, you know, my mom, I don't remember my aunts, anybody talking about parenting books. No one. No. The person who, well, it was Legal Shield, but also our midwife.
Well, but
because I was pregnant for the very first time.
Yeah.
You know, and I was nervous. And she got me reading books.
It was Legal Shield, man.
Yeah,
that's what it was. It was just Legal Shield. Like when we joined Legal Shield, it was well, you know that, and I mean part of it was also our mentality. Because I told you when I was in the military, I got made fun of one time because I bought I went to the library on base and checked out like some fucking finance book. And they're like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You're gonna fucking Warren Buffett over here. Like,
really?
Get your fucking ass out there and start putting gas in that jet. And I'm like.
Because that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
I was like, I'm going to show you guys, you know?
Yeah.
Fucking guy in a suit and tie on the cover of the book and I'm all fucking dirty, you know? But it's like, you know what? The information's out there. But I think, you know, with the internet and everything, like everybody knows now. Like,
right.
And think about it. People put out books all the damn time.
Right.
You know, everybody knows somebody that puts out a fucking book now.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So books are, you know,
everybody's. And
I'm
telling you, that's the tool that if you don't know, it's out there. Now
you know.
Like there's just no reason not to know, especially with YouTube. Books, you can get audiobooks or you know, get the
let me
interviews for free.
The perfect example. Last week, I went to go do something for work. And what I do for work, that like we were talking about the school stuff. I mean, we're doing processes on metal, like super scientific shit, right? The kind of stuff that you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing will not get you there. And I don't have to completely understand it because I'm not an engineer, but for my job, it helps if I know it.
Right.
So guess what I did? I fucking looked up a 3-minute video on YouTube on a carburized process where like it tells you exactly what happens to the metal, the steel, how they inject it, and it tells you if you don't know, look it up.
Yes.
You can find out anything you want. The shit's out there.
Yes. So Joey the other day mentioned that he wants to be a scientist. I'm like, dude, you need to get this shit together then. That's no joke, dude.
Yeah. You know that math that you don't like and the reading that you don't like?
Right. No, he does pretty good in math. He's doing better. He's doing better. But they have, this book fair at school, which I'm sure all you parents watching are like, yeah, we know about the book fair.
Oh, yeah.
And Joey found this little science project that he wanted. And so I gave him the money for it. I had no idea what the heck he was bringing home. Okay. And I didn't know that I had to be involved.
It was an experiment book type thing.
Right.
Where you do the experiment and read the book.
Right. So he brings it home. And, it's how to make crystals.
Yeah.
In the book, they give other experiments. One that you did with him, the candy crystals.
What kind of crystals? Hey, if he learns how to make them, we'll fucking sell them. If you guys learn how to fucking make them, we'll sell them. Dude, I will fucking change my tune on this podcast. I'd be like, we got these crystals, man.
You suck.
23 easy payments of $29.99.
So I dragged my butt downstairs to do the experiment with him, and we did it, and it was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I haven't checked on it. So it says from 1 day to a week, you'll see your results.
You're already seeing them.
I forgot about it. And he told me, Mom, he's like, have you checked our crystals? I'm like, no. He's like, Mom, we didn't skip any steps. I'm like, what do you mean, Joey? He's like, because they're forming.
That's cool.
Like he told me we did a good job. That's pretty much what he said. Like we did a good job.
When we went to Michael's, we saw like some of those. It's like it's kind of like a similar thing. Not that we're doing a freaking commercial for them, but it's like the books with the experiments, like the Discovery or the National Geographic kits that they have.
See,
and what's up?
We need to, and I talked to Vicky. One up. Vicky is Miguel's godmother, who's a teacher.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
She's a linguist. And she's like, if that's what he's into, she's like, you need to get on that. She's like, feed into that.
So one thing that we can do.
Go buy the experiment.
One thing that I saw was on Amazon. They have the National Geographic books that have the experiments in them with the book that teaches you about the minerals and the rocks and all that stuff. And if you guys would like to pick something up like that for your kids, you guys can go to Amazon. If you want to pick it up, you can go through our website and help us out. If you go to oppositesattractpodcast.com, you'll find all of our social media there. You can watch the podcast there. You can listen to it there. And you'll see a tab that says support the show. If you're on the computer, if you're on the phone, hit the menu button and you'll see the support the show tab. And it'll take you to our Amazon link. Anything that you purchase through that link doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out the show. And you can also find our merch on Amazon by searching Opposites Attract Podcast. You can find the phone cases, pop sockets, t-shirts, stuff like that. And you'll also see our link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary and signing agency. So if you are in the process of purchasing, selling, or refinancing, you can request us to be your signing agency.
And you can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com. We're also affiliates with Libsyn, which is who hosts our podcast. If you have a hobby that you'd like to turn into a podcast, if you want to put it out and talk about it, you can try promo code OAP for Opposites Attract Podcast with Libsyn. And Libsyn distributes our podcast to Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, all over the place. So if you guys want to give it a shot using promo code OAP, that'll give you the rest of whatever month you sign up in for free and the next month for free just for trying out Libsyn. We're also affiliates with Pinwheel, which is a smartphone for kids. We were looking for a phone for our daughter, and we didn't want to give her access to the internet and all the social media and all the things that are going to suck her attention. And, because everybody knows like that adults get addicted, kids get addicted, and it's horrible. So we wanted to get something that was different, something that we could monitor, and something that was appropriate for her age.
Yes.
And we found Pinwheel. And if you guys want to give Pinwheel a shot, you can use our promo code OAPTEN, all in caps, OAP10. and that'll give you 10% off of a Pinwheel phone. Just go to pinwheel.com.
There you go.
Yep.
You do so well.
Thanks, babe.
All our ads.
Next week, Sonja's doing the ads. Next week, we're mixing it up. I'll help you, babe. I got your
You guys will be more entertained. I can tell you that. No.
Oh, man.
You need a little fun in your life? No.
So last week or a couple weeks ago, we were talking about like the finances and stuff like that. And there was something that I had thought about when I was listening back to the podcast. And we were talking about like paying off debt, right? And one of the things that we did to pay off debt, that like it makes a huge difference. I mean, like stacking up some cash and then paying stuff down, that helps. But one thing that makes a big difference is using those tax returns, right? And if thanks, babe, for confirming. Sonja's over here drinking coffee.
I need some energy.
But something that, like, at least for me, I tell you this when it comes to like investments, right? Like there's times when we're not sure what to do. Right.
A lot of times.
There's a lot of times when we're not sure what to do.
Right.
But there have been times when we're kind of thinking about making a decision. Like, should we take this $1,000 and drop it on this, or should we take that and invest it in this, or should we do something else or whatever?
Yes.
Like we're trying to think about the best thing to do with that option or whatever, with that money, right?
Yes.
And because we're not experts at this stuff, we don't know. But one thing that we do know
is somebody else knows.
Well, no, not that. But one thing that we do know is that the worst thing to do
is
nothing. Doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yes.
Even if you don't make the absolute most opportune move, the one that's going to make you the biggest return on your investment, doing nothing is worse.
Right.
So you might as well at least like, if you're sitting there and you're thinking about it too much, do something. Don't do nothing. So you have to turn it into like into these games. You know, like if you're not sure, like, hey, should I put in a couple extra percentages on my investment? Don't think about it too much. Just do it. Just bump it up 2 or 3% and see how your paycheck changes and see if you can live with it.
Yes.
And guess what? Chances are you can, because you can do with less money when it just doesn't show up in your paycheck. But it's just a game.
It is.
You got to figure the game out and make it work for you.
Yeah.
And that is, the tax return is part of it. One thing that I've done, because saving money is not easy. And I've heard before where people talk about when it comes to taxes, like, hey, if you're married and you have this many dependents or whatever, you should put that you're married and this and that, so that when tax time comes, you're not owing them money, but then you're not also paying money. You want to kind of break even, because that way the money that you're getting back that you're not going to get in the tax return, you can take that money and use it towards something else. And I'm like, that sounds great, but I'm never going to do that. I'm just going to spend all that money when I get it in my paycheck.
You have to know you. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's a game. Yes. So you know what I do? Instead, I put single, 0 dependents, and they take a shitload of money in taxes. But then at the end of the year, I get a fat ass paycheck, a fat ass tax return. Usually,
when we were in a different tax bracket.
But part of it is also owning a business. When you have a business, you can have a lot of write-offs. I mean, these are just, it's a fucking game.
Right.
You got to figure the game out.
And if you don't live in it or know someone that's living it, it's so hard to even know that there's a game like that exists.
Exactly. But what you got to do is you got to make this game work for you. So when I put myself down, and I don't know, I mean, think about it for yourself. Look at your own finances. This is what I did. This is what we did, and it's helped us out a bunch of times. So by putting single and no dependents, usually we get a big tax return back at the end of the year. That's the money. When you get a nice chunk, instead of using that on a fucking car or some other dumb shit, we would take that and drop that on the credit card.
Heck yes, we did.
Not only that, that was also the money that when we bought the other house, that was our emergency fund. Instead of sitting there and having to stash it $100 by $100, we knew that we had a tax return coming. My bonuses for work, if you get any kind of bonuses, look, people, before they even get their bonuses, they already have that shit spent.
Yes.
You know, I'm getting a new gun, I'm getting a new this, I want a new purse, I want a new that. No. figure out what you're going to do with that. Drop it on your emergency fund. Put it in another account so that you can make another move later. This is a game. You got to figure out the way that this game. And you know what? When you take that money and you spend it on a car, you lost the game. You fucking straight up lost it. And somebody won the game. The fucking dealership won the game. And you lost. That's just how it is. So make sure that you have to know yourself and set things up that are going to benefit you. If you know that you don't have that discipline and there's a little way that you can maybe make it happen, then do it.
Put your life on auto. They call it like not autopilot, but like you said,
yes, like it is like autopilot.
Yeah, when you have investments,
it's automatic.
Or an opportunity with your employer and they have 401ks or whatever they offer, jump on it, get on it, right? That's the first step. You're not going to miss it because you're not going to see it because it's automatic. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but if you own a home, more than likely your lender has options for you on how you want to pay that mortgage. We have ours set up automatically on biweekly payments, our primary residence, because that shaves off an additional 4 years from the lifetime of the loan.
Yeah.
Not only that, but because you're making extra principal payments. But I had no idea that even existed until I started talking to someone and they shared that with me. Because you and I before, we were just making additional payments towards the principal, right? Yes. Like we would do that.
You got to be careful. You don't want to make extra mortgage payments because that, like if you're trying to knock down the principal,
yes,
you don't want to make extra mortgage payments because that will have interest included in it.
Right.
You're just paying future monthly payments.
Yes.
What you want to do is you want to drop a principal payment.
Right. So make sure that when you do this, because we've made this mistake, right? Where the payment went to the
next month.
Yes.
And that's how you find out is if you look at you think that you're dropping a principal payment and then you look at your statement for next month and you don't have a mortgage payment, you didn't drop a principal payment the month before. Right. What you did was you made your mortgage payment for the next month.
Right.
So you should, when you make a principal payment, you should be putting that on principal and you should still have a regular monthly payment the next month.
Right. So call whoever your lender is and make sure that that's where that money's going.
Yeah.
But it's just putting your life on autopilot. And I learned that through David Bach. He has great YouTube information on finances. He's the one who, after Dave Ramsey, we started using Dave Ramsey somewhat, like his, getting out of debt. We didn't use it verbatim, right?
Yeah.
But we did use some of it.
It's kind of like the mindset. Yeah.
Yes.
Just pretty much just buckling down. Don't spend anything extra and put everything on debt.
Yes, that's what we did.
That was it.
But then after Dave Ramsey, I'm like, I don't think that he gives certain advice. And it's good advice, but it's not where we want it to end. No. Our story, we're building differently.
Yeah, his advice is to get you to a certain point. And most people today need his advice.
Right.
Once you get to zero out of debt, then
figure out.
If you're going to work a job for the rest of your life and you're going to have a career like that, then you might want to follow Dave Ramsey.
Stay with Dave, yes.
If you want to build a business, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, his advice is probably not the best.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
So, yeah, but not only that. There's a couple things when it came to money. The other one, there was something that I've heard this so many times before, but I heard it last week, and I don't know, maybe it's all the money talk or whatever. But there's so many people have no idea that they are driving around in the down payment for their next house. Like that is. Yeah, you have a super nice car that you're driving around with the screens and the air-conditioned seats and all that. That could have been the down payment for your next house. Mm-hmm. I've heard so many, like I've had managers that I've worked with in the past that, dude, this shit fucking blew my mind one time. It was like they bought a new truck and then came into work and said, I can't retire for another 3 years now. because they bought a new truck.
Yeah.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yes.
I mean, babe, that is literally a slave. You just said you're a slave. I can't retire for another 3 years because I just bought a truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that kind of leads into something. Is there something you wanted to get into?
Well,
you look like you wanted to talk.
Yes.
What's up?
I'm excited for our next upcoming guest, and I think we should mention the next guest because we are talking about finances,
relationships. Definitely don't miss the next one. We're gonna have a couple on that we have known for such a long time, and we've gotten so many tips, so much mentorship through them over the years. They're such a great example.
Why can't we mention it right now?
We can. We can.
Okay.
And next week we will be having
Mr. and Mrs.
Larry and Donnie Smith.
It's exciting. Yeah. We've known them. They've been in our lives since 2006.
Yeah.
I love their story on how they met. I love their heart, their motivation, and their willing to help people.
They're just one of those genuinely great people that they make you better by knowing them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mr. Larry Smith just wrote a book. We can get into that. We've read it.
Yeah.
Great tips on finances.
Don't miss it. Definitely.
They are millionaires.
Yeah.
And you would never know because they were so humble.
And they are successful in all areas of life.
Yeah. From family, marriage, just all of it. So I'm super excited. We are super excited to have them on. It's going to be such a big treat for you all. So do not miss that episode.
Yeah. No, that'll be fun. So yeah, and then we'll definitely, because Mr. Smith has a way to break down money sometimes.
Yes.
That he breaks it down in a way that like the light bulbs just go off and you're like, oh, I've been fucking up. Right?
Yeah. I shouldn't have did that.
That's kind of, there's some people that they and he's freaking funny.
He is. I love his personality.
We were talking to him last week and I told him, like, literally, I'm like, you have a way to explain things in such a simple, like,
yes,
it's so simple, but it gets through.
Yes.
And like I said, it just makes the light bulbs go off. And he's like, that's just my education. I have to explain it in a way that makes sense for me too, or something like that. I was cracking up.
But I love that he's so real. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when you guys hear him, I don't care what your background is. I don't care where you come from. You are going to get it. You're going to understand it.
Yeah. So one other thing that I've heard this for, I think, my whole life almost, and I know you've heard this too, and I know a lot of you guys listening have dealt with this situation, but a lot of people, when they're buying something, they don't look at what this thing is going to cost them. That thought doesn't even cross their mind. It's like, this $20,000 car is going to end up costing me $38,000. This $200,000 house is going to end up costing me $400,000. All people or a lot of people care about is, what is my monthly payment and can I afford that monthly payment? And it's not even like with food and all that, because you got credit cards for that, right?
Right.
Like that's what people are thinking. Like, can I afford $400 a month on a car note? And it's like, yeah, maybe you can afford it, but that's not, like, you just shackled yourself. Kind of like what I said with one of my old managers. Mm-hmm. Like, you just made yourself a slave.
Let's share one of those moments that we got caught up in that.
Yeah.
I remember we went to Scottsdale to look at some cars. And at that time, I was driving a Nissan Maxima, which had a lot of miles, but it was still a good car.
Yeah.
We had zero intentions of getting a new car. Like, seriously. And we went to this dealership.
They fucking got us.
And, we saw this beautiful Jag.
It was nice, yeah.
Beautiful, sexy, sleek, like.
And I think it was one of those things where, like, the payments were going to be pretty similar. It wasn't going to go up much.
But
it was a way nicer car.
Yes, and we made excuses. This car has a lot of miles on it.
We justified it just like everybody else does. We fucking tricked ourselves. And that's the thing. You know that you're doing it to yourself. You're bullshitting yourself. Deep inside, you fucking know it.
Right.
You know it. That you know you shouldn't be fucking doing that.
And you're right. Like that car, it cost us a whole lot of time and money. Because you were working on that car.
We're in a good place today.
Yes.
Do you think if our mentality would have shifted a couple years before that,
jeez, man,
and we wouldn't have bought that car, do you think it would have made a difference? How much of a difference? Because the thing is, it was thousands of dollars, but it wasn't that big at that time.
Right.
But compounded over time, not ever having a fucking car payment since then, that's a pretty big thing.
Right.
We would have been out of debt way back then.
Yes. But I think that we had to go through these hard lessons. You gotta learn. Yeah. We had to go through these hard lessons in order to get where we are today. So I don't regret that because I don't know if we would be where we are today without making those mistakes.
Yeah.
But I mean, going through it, we can share with other people, what not to do.
First of all, the car was a piece of shit.
It was beautiful though.
It was great.
It's like being with a hot woman, but she's ugly on the inside. No,
it's what it is. It's a fucking super high maintenance woman. Looks super fucking fly, but you gotta spend all your money on her.
Tanny,
right? You gotta spend all your money on her to keep her around. Yeah, and then everybody's like, "Oh, dude, she's fucking hot,
right?
Bro. Like she is." And I'm like, "Dude, you have no fucking clue. This fucking bitch, you know what I mean?"
But listen, okay, so check this out. Woo, we're gonna get so my niece and I back to us. We're sitting and we're like, "Hey, let's sit at the bar." So her and I were sitting at a bar, and there's a dude that sitting to my left, older gentleman. And so, I'm taking my niece out for her birthday, and we had mentioned it, and he's like, "Oh, happy birthday." And we had the bartender right in front of us. So whenever we needed a drink, he was like right there. Damn. Well, this guy to the left, just openly, we were talking, he's like, "So where are the husbands?" And we're like, "Oh, the husbands are at home, taking care of the kids." And he's like, "Of course," he said. And then I'm like, "Yeah, we have some pretty incredible, husbands." I'm like, I remember having a conversation with my friend, and my friend, I'm telling him this, and my friend told me, "Oh yeah, so my husband's babysitting our kids." I'm like, "Hold up, what? What did you just say? Did you just say your husband is babysitting your kids?"
Can't babysit.
And the guy starts laughing, and he starts talking about his relationship.
Yeah.
And he is not talking. He's like, yeah. He started talking about how she couldn't cook. Like she doesn't work. All she does is sit on the sofa. He's sharing all of this with us. And I'm like, I look at him and I'm smiling and I'm like, "But she's pretty hot, isn't she?"
Oh, yeah.
Like she looks good on that sofa, right?
I bet she's super hot.
And that's what I'm thinking, because if he's complaining about she can't cook and she doesn't clean and all this other stuff, I'm like, "Oh, she must be looking fly, right?"
That was that car, man.
And anyway, so that conversation came up, and
that's funny.
It reminded me of what you said. And he's like, "Oh, she's not all that." And I'm like, "Well, there's something that made you marry her." Yep. So, but he's trying to bag on her, and I'm trying to like, "Nah, dude, this is your fault. It's not her fault. You allowed this." Yep. But anyways, something like that.
But yeah, that's what it was. I mean, it was the biggest. So when we were buying the car, like, make sure you know what you're getting into. Like one mistake that we made was we bought the first year of a new model. So if you guys don't know about that, even though a lot of people want to get the first year, that's the emotion thing. It's the emotion thing.
Yep,
you want to get the first year of the new model because it looks the newest. That's got the newest style. It's got all like when everybody sees the newest Corvette, they're like, "Ooh, that's the new one."
Right.
But guess what? They haven't worked out all the shit on the new one.
Right.
So the best one to get is the last year of that body style.
Yes, because they've all already worked out all the kinks.
Yeah, after that car's been out for 3 or 4 years, it still has the same body style. They've worked out all the kinks. So what we bought the first year of that body style, and everything fucking broke. You know what I mean? So you can't do that.
Yes.
But there's just little, and those are the emotional things that kind of get us in trouble.
Yes,
but we'll get into a lot more of that stuff and the money talk with Mr. and Mrs. Larry and Donnie Smith next week. We're super excited. We can't wait for you guys to hear that.
Yes.
Make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know.
Thank you guys for listening. We love you. And
thank you for listening
to Opposites Attract Podcast,
where we get better
together.
Bye.
Bye.